Time for us to have a little talk tonight. Time for us to have a little talk tonight about some essentials. I'm going to ask you a simple question. What are today's men offering? The problem with the red pill era and the so-called manosphere era is that it is leaving out the basic tenet of the acquisition of power. You do not acquire power by focusing on weakening everyone else. You acquire power by focusing on developing yourself. But this is not popular. It is very, very popular to tell somebody you got everything together, and then, well, the problem is everybody else just doesn't appreciate your greatness. Well, I'm here to tell you exactly what the situation here is. And the overwhelming majority of men today do not have anything to offer but their talk, their delusions of grandeur, and their Xbox. I am not here to say that you cannot have vocations. What I am here to say is that manhood looks like manhood. Manhood does not make the primary focus of its life distractions and amusements. Manhood makes the primary focus of its life building and acquiring resources. That is what manhood does. But this is a hard sell today. In the bastard baby era and the bastard baby maker era, and now Generation Z is the fully infantilized, effeminized, broken male era. You're talking about boys who have seen neither their father nor their grandfather. This is how far the treason has gotten to this point. You've got boys who have seen neither their father nor their grandfather. They have been completely separated and divorced from manhood at any level. With, unfortunately, a feminine class that has taken advantage of victimizing them in that way, and the results are never good. I want to go ahead and spell out for you in very simple language exactly how this works. Exactly what the metrics are, and exactly what you're dealing with here. I want to talk about why it is you cannot acquire respect. Today's men, what are they offering? What they're offering as a group does not acquire respect. And they are dying and deadly inside. They'll sit up here and blow your brains out if they don't get respected, but they're not doing what's necessary for respect. And in the world that we live in, we need to have tangible metrics, and we do have tangible metrics. I'm going to upset a lot of people with tonight's program. It's going to drive some of you to drink. It's going to make some of you males very, very angry. So be it. What I want to do here, first and foremost, is I want to draw your attention here to an article. I want to draw your attention to an article, and I want you to keep this in mind, because this is the slippery slope. This is the tricky area. This is a story that I've covered before when this originally came out in 2018. And it's been revisited now. One outlet in particular, Fox 9, KMSP. Here's how much money you need to make to be happy living in the U.S. according to a study. Now, what I want to do, and I'm going to walk you through this so you get everything you need from this. I want to walk you through this article by Kelly Hayes. How much money does someone need to earn in order to be happy living in the United States? Got happy in quotations. It varies based on location, but overall, the figure appears to be much higher than the average annual income for Americans. A global study published in 2018 looked at how much money seems to make individuals happy, along with the level that money no longer had an impact on well-being. While happiness is subjective, The study authors from Purdue University attempted to answer this question by measuring emotional well-being, or one's day-to-day emotions like happiness, excitement, sadness, or anger. They also measured life satisfaction, or an overall assessment of how one is doing. Globally, this is talking about worldwide, globally, the study found that the ideal income point for an individual is $95,000 for life satisfaction, but between $60,000 and $75,000 for emotional well-being. Did you get that? Globally, the ideal income point for an individual for life satisfaction, overall life satisfaction, is $95,000. But for emotional well-being, will you hit that point somewhere between $60,000 and $75,000? Now, it goes on to one more sentence that blows everything up. That was globally. It goes on to say, in North America, let me go ahead and make sure you all see that right there. $95,000 for life satisfaction, $60,000 for emotional satisfaction. But in North America, the individual income level for life satisfaction was found to be $105,000 per year. So what they're saying here is that at between $60,000 to $75,000, you reach a point of emotional well-being as an individual. Talking about yourself individually. So in other words, you've reached a point of basic contentment. Your basic needs are covered at $60,000 to $75,000. Your basic needs. You're not struggling to pay the rent is taken care of. You're not coming up short on it. So you're emotionally in a state of well-being at between $60,000 to $75,000. But overall, as far as being overall satisfied with your life, that you feel you're not missing anything. That's the key component. Feeling life satisfaction, you're satisfied with your life overall and you don't feel like you're missing anything. Well, that doesn't hit until $105,000. And by the way, that is to start. That is to start. Now, as you can see, the article goes on to say, for comparison, the annual mean wage for a full-time wage or salary worker in the U.S. is only $58,260, according to the most recent data shared by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The median household income was $67,521 in 2020, a decrease of 2.9% from 2019, the U.S. Census Bureau reported. So, since the global pandemic, household income has actually gone down since the global pandemic. It's actually gone down. So, I'm saying this because I want to put this in perspective. I want to put this in perspective because what I'm about to say tonight, we're about to have some manhood talk here tonight. Ladies, you can fall back. We're going to have some manhood talk tonight. And if you agree with what you're hearing during this program, give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. A bunch of mama's boys are going to be mad as hell, but it is what it is. So give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button for me if you agree with what you're hearing here tonight. Fellas, you live in a competitive world. You live in a competitive environment. While you're no longer required to go into the jungle with a spear and to go kill for your daily bread. You're no longer required to go and directly hunt and gather for yourself. You are required to hunt and gather in different ways. You are still judged and valued by your ability as a hunter-gatherer. That has not changed. The jungle in which you go to hunt and retrieve resources is different, but the obligation upon you to continue gathering resources has remained consistent. It hasn't stopped. And the problem with having young men, boys raised by single moms is that it whips the competitiveness right out of them. Because a woman doesn't know how to turn a lion cub into a lion. She knows how to turn a lion cub into a wildcat, but she doesn't know how to turn a lion cub into a lion. And if she doesn't have a lion of her own, then she insists on infantilizing the boy who is there because there is no man to take that place with her. Thus the phenomena of the son husband. And a lot of you fellas today have latched on to that. A bunch of you have latched on to that because it's easy. Jason, what are you talking about here? Why did you start with this? I started with this because I want you to understand exactly what the stakes really are and exactly what's truly expected. For basic emotional well-being, $60,000 to $75,000 a year, that's as an individual. You do understand that is as an individual. Therefore, if you've got a woman, that number doubles. That number is going to have to double again if you have children. So then you find that kind of dovetails with the overall life satisfaction number. You have to have that. That is important. If you don't, everything else fails. As a man, you cannot get respect without it. As a man, you are going to be unable to get respect without that, and that's what's killing so many. They're trying to figure out how to get that, and it doesn't work. They're trying to figure out how to acquire that, and it doesn't work. So what they're doing is they're saying, we're going to go red pill, black pill, passports. Everything except saying that they are going to increase their level of competitiveness. Everything except increasing the level of competitiveness. But in order for you to be a proper competitor, you've got to be in the presence of men. You will have to be in the presence of men so you can be compared to other men. You cannot become a competitive male and you are not in the presence of competitive men. That's the reason it won't work. You are going to have to be in the presence of men. There's a key word missing: accountability. There is a key word that is missing, and that word is accountability. Let me explain to you exactly how accountability works so you can see exactly what the hell I mean. Accountability. Let me tell you about the most effective organizations that you all see. Effective organizations that you all see. Things like militaries, things like corporations, things like gangs, things like militaries. Those are things right there that when you go to them, you are accountable. You are accountable to them. You're accountable to those organizations. You're accountable to the person next to you. You're accountable to the individual next to you. Those people are going to hold you accountable. When you run a company, you're going to be in a situation where shareholders are looking They have invested in you and they're looking to hold you accountable. They're looking to hold you accountable. Because they want results. They want results. That's the real issue. They want results. They don't want excuses. And when you are raised young to understand you have an obligation to produce results, then you don't get used to the idea of making excuses. That's the thing I want you to understand. You don't get used to the idea of making excuses when that happens. Understand where you're coming from here. That's what you get held to. So the conversation shifts in a different direction when you start asking questions like that, because as a man, oh yes, it is the correct question to ask. What are you offering? What exactly is it that you are offering? What exactly is it that you are offering to other men, to children, to society? Oh yes, somewhere in there may be a woman. What exactly is it that today's men are offering? Are they offering a high level of competence? And remember, I have defined competence for you all. The ability to get things done. The ability to see something through from start to finish with fruition and results. But is the average male today, are men today as a group offering competence? Are they offering determination, perseverance? Are they offering results? Or are they offering a boatload of excuses? Are they trying to figure out how to be better debaters? Starting the conversation by telling the women and the children and the society what they don't need. You see, here's the issue that we run into here. Gonna make some folks feel bad tonight, but let's go ahead and get to that. You see, the issue that you have here is that folks want to preach to you about what they want is respect. These are the same guys that when you try to do business with them, and they tell you money doesn't matter. These guys will sit here and boldly declare to you that money does not matter. That's when another man talks to him and says, hey, let's discuss building and getting something done. What's your credit score looking like? Man, his credit score is damn near room temperature. Talking to another grown man, not talking to a female, not talking to a child, talking to me as another man. And I'm saying, okay, let's go ahead and add up the resources we brought together here so we can go ahead and make some things happen. He's looking here and talking to me like he does them hoes. Folks ain't liking tonight's program here. It's hurting some feelings. For those of you who do like it, hit the likes button for me. We ain't gonna be on very long here tonight, because you see what has happened is in this sissified era of mama's boys, you all have come to the damn internet to be entertained and otherwise distracted from the failure in life that you produced. You don't like the idea of somebody saying, hey, let's get things together. Let's be very, very clear. The income stratas in society very clearly spell out why the world is the way it is today. The top 10% of men are, the top 5% of men are ultra aggressive. The top 10% of men are aggressive. The top 20% are assertive or slightly assertive. The bottom 80% are passive and will simply take whatever they can get. So the top 10% gets whatever it can take, and the bottom 80% takes whatever it can get. That's the reality of where the world is. The income stratas in many cases are pressurized and engineered, absolutely, but it's maneuvered for the character of the individual. And there's only a certain amount that creams to the top. Because the bottom 80% for the most part is uncompetitive. They sit in the presence of men and make excuses. They stand in the presence of children and make excuses. You're looking at the little tiny reproduction, literally reproduction of you, and you handing them excuses for what you haven't done, what you couldn't figure out. You want to sit up here and criticize the baby boomers and all them old niggas who sat up here and all they were worried about was cocaine and Cadillacs and left nothing for the children, and now you've turned around and become just like your deadbeat ass daddy and granddaddy. You got children of your own, and yet you are not presenting them with the prototype and the formula to pass something on other than your damn slogan and mouth. Boy, he sure does sound angry. You're not used to a man speaking to you in a tone of voice that lets you know he will not compromise. Your mama didn't know what comprises a man. We do over here. Today's men are trying to turn the world into a great big ass giant amusement park. But you know what you don't do at an amusement park? You don't own anything, you don't control anything, and you don't pass anything down at an amusement park. If I hear one more lemon lime flavored jackass talking about he's gonna go take a passport and go overseas, congratulations! What you building over there? After the last 2 decades of hearing that horse garbage, we should see something built. Something should be going up. Should be a community of you over there. You see, in America, when the Chinese came here, time to hurt some feelings. You see, when the Chinese came here, they came as a group, while they got together in a group. And it was very clear that was the enclave over there. In Chicago, where the Chinese are when they come over here, that's the enclave over there where they came from the country they were in. They came here and they started building something. So they got together in a group. So you don't have to wonder or guess where the Chinese builders are. They got a great big ass pagoda in Chicago, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, in Detroit, in Philadelphia. I should know. I've been to all of them. And you all know I've been to all of them. That's not even the whole comprehensive list. You get the idea. New York. Canal Street. I won't say stand up because you'll be sitting at their store. And yet, when they come over here, when folks come from a foreign land to a place and telling you about how they got it popping, you see them in a group and they own something. You can point right and say, hey, that's where that group came over here. And take a look at what they built, and they own something. When you talk about Mexican town, Greek town, stand up, Detroit. Right there across the street from General Motors. Greek town, Starbucks, Five Guys. Greek town Casino. Won't stay here all night naming stuff. You see, if you want to be taken seriously in that regard, that's the type of thing you would be doing. We'd be able to see that. But we don't. In the chat room, you're talking about smoke. You're talking about smoke. Let me tell you something right now. You do have some black marijuana dispensers in Colorado, in Washington State, in California. I don't smoke. I think only an idiot does. You cannot tell me that you are a sharp, competent warrior and you are dulling your senses. What I will tell you, though, is you know your senses are dulled because this is the one area right here where you've got no excuse. If there is a black marijuana dispensary in Los Angeles, and there are a few, I know that for a fact. Details later. Y'all supposed to be lined up over there. That's supposed to be the spot over there. They should be flush with money. Downtown Los Angeles, Wilshire, 7th Street, 7-Eleven. Right across the street from that loud-ass club that keep things bumping on Friday and Saturday night. Right down the street from that taco place. Wilshire 7th, right across the street from the Wilshire Grand and the Outdoor Mall, right up the street here right up the block from Denny's. I'm sitting up here name dropping so that I make it very, very clear to those of you listening live or later here. I'm not just pulling things out of the air. Right there in front of 7-Eleven, y'all know what the story is. Right there on the corner, the homeless people basically trade the damn sign. It's like they work in shifts. They hand the sign to somebody else at the 3 p.m. and then they sit there begging. 7-Eleven, the fellas are standing in front of 7-Eleven on a Friday and Saturday night smoking on their weed. Oh, I'm all over. I'm all over. I'm all over. They standing right there in front of 7-Eleven smoking on their weed on Friday and Saturday night. LA, stand up if I'm lying. LA, stand up if I'm lying. LA Live. LA Live. Friday, Saturday nights in front of LA Live. Stand up. I hate to do this. I'm forgetting the name of the place. There's a place down there. It's like a pancake house near LA Live. It's got a green awning. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. Line out the damn door when it's time for the place to open. Damn, Jason. Look here. I know my places. Line out the damn door when it's time for it to open. So we should have multi-millionaires among black men in Colorado, California, Washington. It should be all over. And yet, it isn't. You see, the problem is the number one problem that we have. Oh, I'm going to say it like it is. The number one problem that we have is that the men today do not have a code. If you want to know what makes single mothers the villains of our time, it is because they destroy the culture of code among males. You are supposed to understand that you are accountable to the man next to you. That we have a different code and culture than the females do. Oh, I'm about to upset every damn body, so be it. As men, we have a different code and culture from the females. We're not equivalent. That's why 50-50 don't work, stupid. I can't be 50-50 with somebody who doesn't do what I do. I can be 50-50 with somebody. Actually, to be totally honest, you say 50-50, it should be 100-100. But I can't sit up here and be 50-50 with somebody who doesn't do what I do. You pipe dreaming. When you were a little boy living under your mammy in the Section 8 housing with the WIC voucher, she was sitting up there pretending she was going to be protector of the family. You're a grown-ass man. You're supposed to have grown out of that little dream by this point. You're supposed to have outgrown that little lie and that little fantasy. You're supposed to be smarter than that now. You're supposed to realize your mama wasn't doing nothing but talking a bunch of noise. If something would come to that front door, she'd be casualty number 1. You'd be casualty number 2. As a grown man, you're supposed to let go of superstitions and lies and fantasies. Your mama cannot do what your daddy could have done, although in some of your cases they probably could have. because your mother chose something weak. You're supposed to recognize, okay, they chose weakness. I choose strength. As a man, first and foremost, we understand and accept the women cannot do what we do. Therefore, you are never going to come into your full manhood until you have had time to make your bones among the warriors. You see, that's the whole reason for being part of a competitive class. Oh, tonight's program is going to upset a lot of dudes out there because they want to believe that somehow we can become warriors by sitting around being soft and meek. No. You got to say it with your chest. You are not going to be able to come into your fullness of manhood until you have been held accountable by other men, until you have been forced into the arena and you have to prove yourself. You don't prove yourself with an entry-level job. That's the problem. Anybody can get an entry-level job, including your broad. That's why she's not impressed. Anybody can get that, including her. She's not going to respect you until you demonstrate that you can do something she cannot do. And no, being an alpha is not an income bracket. No. But productivity is a requirement. And we have too many males today who want to sit up. See, here's the real reason they like that. We have too many males today. They want to sit up here and go off into some little secluded enclave and grab their Xbox controllers because you're hiding from the world. You are hiding from the world and hiding from reality. You see, when your manhood is fully intact, you have no problem whatsoever standing and proving yourself in front of the men. You have no problem standing in front of the group of the men and proving yourself. You have no problem competing when your manhood is fully intact. The Europeans wished to conquer the world, and they understood we didn't have time to hold anybody's hands or spare their feelings. It is going to be complete Darwinism. We need the strongest of everything. And as black men, you do demonstrate that you have that competitiveness, but the only time you really want to flex it is when white folk are around, when they sit here and engineer a situation. You will not come into your fullness of manhood until you get together with each other. And it becomes that competitive environment there. That's the real issue. Jason, what do you mean by that? Can you be more specific about it? I damn sure can. You gotta understand what the problem is. You see, among uncompetitive males, they sit and whine and fight and are catty. They do not understand the merits of competitiveness. Remember what I said, that as men, we compartmentalize. We understand that we can have sex with somebody without falling in love, and we can fight somebody without hating them. I was explaining to somebody here earlier today. I was telling them about Vengeance Incorporated. Jason, what's Vengeance Incorporated? For those of you who don't know your comic books and whatnot, your comic book publishing, the company that you now know today as Marvel used to be a different company. It's had several names before it became Marvel, but it was started by Martin Goodman. Martin Goodman was the uncle of Stanley Lieber, who, of course, Americanized his name to Stan Lee. And you know all the comic book characters he created. But when Martin Goodman sold the company to its new owners, basically there was supposed to be an agreement in place that his son would take over. His son would still be in charge. Well, when the new owners got the company, they were like, yeah, we're good on that. We got enough people in charge over here. Martin Goodman had a pretty good payout from selling Marvel, so he started a new company, Atlas. And Atlas hired a bunch of good creators, folk from Marvel and DC. They had good creative talent, but it was very clear what Atlas's purpose was. Atlas's purpose was to compete directly against Marvel because they had been slighted. So Atlas had a nickname in the comic publishing business, Vengeance Incorporated, because everybody who worked there understood. So they had a bunch of knockoff characters. Marvel had the Hulk, Atlas had the Brute, Marvel had Spider-Man, Atlas had Tiger Man, Marvel had the Punisher, Atlas had Target. So they understood what they were doing. And eventually Atlas failed. Atlas failed because the basis of doing so was poisoned. You see, if you and I want to start, for example, if we want to start a Burger King restaurant, what is our motive for starting it? That's the first question I want you to ask yourselves. If you and I wanted to start a Burger King restaurant, what would be our motive for starting it? Why would we do it? What would be our reason for doing so? Could the reason be because we're angry at McDonald's? Can that be our primary motive? That we're angry at McDonald's? That we got a score to settle with McDonald's? That we want to put McDonald's out of business? No. That cannot be your reason for doing it. Your reason for doing it has to be one thing and one thing only: to excel, that you wish to serve the customers. You have to extract and remove your emotions from it. And then what you do is you are as competitive as you can possibly be. And in the process of being as competitive as you can be, don't be surprised if McDonald's starts taking some L's, because you are so incredibly competitive. Your goal shouldn't be, we gonna hurt McDonald's. Your goal should be, we are going to empower ourselves. We are going to be as great as we can be of ourselves. That is what will fuel us. Excellence. And in the process, you will make plenty of money. You will make plenty of resources. And McDonald's is going to take an L. You see, when you are among the men and you are taught and conditioned to compete on a manhood level, then we understand that as men, we compete. And then when the season of competition is over, you shake hands and you acknowledge if you have encountered a superior ability, or if you have become a superior ability. That's what you do as men. As men, we have a proving ground. As men, you are supposed to be inculcated to understand that we have a proving ground. And that proving ground does not have any tolerance whatsoever for fakeness. Let me go ahead and put that in some terms that will offend you as we go. But before I do, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. So Tank Moham, thank you very much. Project Leroy is always on deck. Thank you to you and everybody else. Let's get a couple of things straight here. You can learn a lot from a prison. I said it. You could learn a lot from a prison. You see, if you have to do time, if you've been around people who've done time, if you understand that environment, you're held accountable for your actions from day one. One of the things I absolutely cannot stand is when I'm out in public and somebody is encroaching on my damn personal space. I hate standing in the line at the supermarket or some other store, because there will always be something like that. I don't know if it's the cologne I wear or whatever, but it'll be somebody sitting up here walking in And they'll get too damn close up on me. And it's like, what the hell is this? Everybody's experienced that. But particularly the men. You're a man and somebody is sitting up here. I mean, they're literally less than a foot away from you. They're literally close enough to hold your hand or hold your arm. And it's like, what the hell is this? Don't you understand? Like, you can literally feel the body heat off of them. And it's like, I'll be damned. Don't you realize you're encroaching on my space? You're encroaching on my space. In prison, that's not an issue. That's not an issue in a prison. You get too close to somebody and they're going to take off on you. You get too close to somebody and they're going to nail you. You don't get to do those nonverbal cues of disrespect. You come in the door understanding you have an obligation to respect these other people's name, respect their property, and respect their person. Let me say that again. You respect their name, you respect their property, and you respect their person. Don't go running off at the lip about them. Don't go scheming on their property, and don't sit up here and take liberties with their person. You give them distance. You give them respect. You give them room. You don't sit up here and give them what you think is enough. You better make sure that you don't ever cross that line. Because if you do, you will be held accountable. You see, that's manhood training. That's manhood training. Jason, how is that manhood training right here? The mama's boys are sitting there whining. How is that manhood training? Well, if you could have if your mama had spent more time, with a serious man in the house instead of all them dudes who was laying on top of her week after week, you would have known this. But sure, I'll explain it to you. The reason that you are supposed to spank your children, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who never got it or didn't understand it, the reason that you are supposed to spank your children is so that you demonstrate to them that if they get out of line, there are people in this world who will snatch a knot in your ass. That if you sit up here and you have this artificial expectation in your head that, well, as long as I don't put my hand on them, they shouldn't put their hand on me. That ain't the way the world works. So by you spanking your children, you are letting them know, first and foremost, there are people who will put their hands on you. If you mess around wrong, there are people who will put hands on you. You see, this is how you raise children who don't go off in the subway in New York talking all reckless. I've been on the subway in New York City a few times, not a lot. It's hot down there. It's hot. It smells funny. I don't mean smells funny as in smells bad. I just mean it smells artificial. I'm like, okay, I ain't liking all this. I'm not liking all this. It's like being in the maintenance tunnel, which I guess technically it is. I didn't like it. But I will tell you one damn thing. I was respectful. When you go through that bull jive ass turnstile that I had to go through twice because the damn thing didn't go around all the way to let me through the first damn time. I got on the train. Man, look here. I found me a seat that was away from every damn body else. I had 3 or 4 other people with me. I'm like, hey, y'all come down here with me. We're away from every damn body else. I'm going to make sure. If something jump off, it's going to be just because somebody was just looking for trouble, but it's not going to be because I encroached on anybody's space. And if you do, you understand. People will put hands on you. So you see, when you are young and stupid and living in your mama's artificial dream ass world, you sit up here and tell yourself you can do crazy things like that and everything will be all right. First thing you're supposed to understand is, you can't do that. You see, that's part of manhood training. That's part of manhood training. That if you encroach on other people's space, just understand if you move the wrong way, that can happen. But you're also letting your sons know something else. If other folk move the wrong way with you, this is how you handle that. And I have yet in my life to see a grown man sitting around with a damn Xbox controller who truly adopted and understood this. I have yet to see that. You have internet channels where folk get together and reinforce each other's infantile, futile belief systems, but what they're not doing is putting something in action that they can operate in the real damn world. On this channel right here, I've got hundreds, if not thousands of men that if I opened up the phone lines and told them to call in and sound off, they could tell you how I've doubled, tripled their income, and a couple of them I made straight millionaires out of them. Not in the cyber world, in the real world. Because they had what it took to sit in the company of men and listen to what needed to be done and start perfecting and improving that about themselves. Not a bunch of imaginary talk. And the problem is that today, the fellas are sitting up here trying to get something for nothing. Today's men are not offering much as a group. And I'm a man alive today, but I got to tell it like it is. We got about 10, 15% of the brothers who are completely on point and ready to roll. The other 85% are iffy. And that type of uncertainty you can't go on the march with. You can't have 80, 85% of your group and they're not disciplined. They're not accomplished. They're not focused. I'll tell you something else that they're not. They ain't ready to bleed. Now therein is the most despicable trait of all. That as a man, you are biologically, socially, and physically expected to be the trailblazer, to be the individual who protects and provides, to be the individual who builds. Understand something. To build something means you must clear something. You can't build because there's going to be something there. It's going to have to be removed. It'll be nice if it's something light to remove. A lot of the time it won't be. Sometimes it will be something that will be fighting back against you. And at that moment, there's a decision that has to be made. Either you are the force that will remove it, or you will be removed. And at the end of the day, there is no woman, there is no child, there is no society that is going to put its fate in your weak, anemic, fearful, incompetent hands. You must be competitive. You must be. You've heard all this garbage and all this bull jive out there about, well, the men's is the prize. We the men's and we's the prize. You're missing a word in there. Competitive men are the prize. Competitive men. Well, Jason, can you give me a metric here? What's the metric that determines if I'm a competitive man or not? Start here. If you are a man who is competitive, then by definition, you have the ability to change somebody's life. And the overwhelming majority of males today do not have the ability, do not have the desire, or both to change somebody's life. You are sitting in a room full of men. You cannot contribute to the group. You can't change their lives, much less your own. We sit you in a group full of women. You're hoping that the gift of gab is going to make it there for you because you know at the end of the day, you cannot change their lives, much less your own. You have no plan. Getting a passport and getting together with a bunch of dudes overseas, that's a vacation. When you get over there, what we building? Yeah, we showed up in the Philippines, but when we get done, it's supposed to be the Philippines. And that's not happening. So no matter what you say, you're reducing yourself to the level of sex tourists, and those of you fantasizing about it on the internet. If you all were serious, we would see you sitting up here doing like you hear being done here all the time. It's not like you're over there transforming Brazil. You're not transforming Venezuela. You're not transforming Mexico. You're not transforming the Philippines or Thailand. If you were, they'd be on it and checking for it before. They'd be over here checking for it. You're not changing those places. You're not turning them into enclaves. And let's be clear, you're not doing it in the States either. And I'm not talking about the passport schmoes now. I'm talking about the fellas right here. Today's men are not offering anything. As a group, as individuals, you may find an individual here and an individual there. But as a group, they're not offering anything. The bar has been raised. Let's be very clear. The bar has been raised. What was acceptable in your grandfather's and your father's time is no longer acceptable today. Your father and your grandfather were okay with an 1,100 square foot brick house with a little bit of yard in the front and a little bit of yard in the back. Welcome to 2022. That ain't gonna cut it. That's not gonna make it. Your father and your grandfather, it was okay for them to work their whole lives, get a gold watch, and get a Mercedes-Benz at the end of their working life. I got some negative vibes to lay down on you if you're still thinking that that's the standard today. And I'm not saying that in order for you to impress a female. I'm talking about for you. Because you are useless and worthless to the group. Let me explain something right now to the worldwide dumbasses out there. Do you understand that when misinformed misanthropes like Rollo Tomasi talk about a gynocentric social order, don't you all know they've criminalized manhood? They've criminalized being a man. Now, are we going to sit here until they march us all off either into the gallows or into indentured servitude, which is damn near where you are today? They're sitting up here confiscating our wealth to hand it off to 40% of the female population that wants to indulge in gutter sex and get a bunch of bastard kids, and then you have to pay for it. It is unworthy of manhood to allow such a situation to continue. It is unworthy of manhood to allow that situation to continue festering with the putrid stench floating in through every city on the planet now. That's unworthy of manhood. But the problem is they don't see the men moving like a unified group of men. So right now today, your political class is basically overrun with butt-kissing beta males. who will do anything and everything that a female tells them and will sit here in front of a bunch of females and anybody who will listen and tell them how much they hate men. Raphael Warnock, Chuck Schumer, they'll sit there and gladly do that. You know why? Because those dudes can't stand among the men. You've never seen any of them standing among a group of men, getting respect from the men. Van Jones gets no respect among the men. He's never been able to go to a place where you have masculine men standing around and saying, I want to be like Van Jones when I grow up. There's nobody saying that. There's nobody saying, I want to be like Raphael Warnock when I grow up. Damn sure nobody's saying they want to be like Chuck Schumer when they grow up. They get no respect among the men. But we have not been demanding that occur. Your political class is overrun with beta males who are more than glad to sell out the rest of manhood because they have no place among the men. Now, in an environment where they are essentially criminalizing manhood, we don't have the option of trying to live out some voluptuary fantasy. Survival itself is at stake. That's what we're supposed to be focused on. Survival itself is at stake. So as men, when it comes to asserting yourself, you have no choice in the matter. You have no choice in the matter. Competitiveness is not just a nifty thing. Competitiveness is mandatory. It's mandatory. So first and foremost, if you want to know a good metric that you can start with, here's a good one. Your ability to change the lives of other people. You see, when you do that, you're a force to be reckoned with. You're a force to be reckoned with. But if I could give you one more, I would give you one more. I would tell you that you need to be a man of action, not a man of words. Too many of you fellas out here today, you have not been trained, you have not been inculcated, you have not been taught. You have not been mentored, you have not been in the company of men, which is why I sit up here and give you all the information and the advice that I give you. If you didn't have a father to give you the game, you got to stick around men who are actually doing things. You have to be around men who are competitive. So the first thing I tell you all is that find the places that you wish to be, and then you need to start paying to hang out there. Understand something, folks. Don't you know that you can change your life simply hanging out in the right places, just like you can change your life just simply by hanging out in the wrong ones? Don't you know you could become a millionaire simply by hanging out in areas where millionaires frequent? You could become a millionaire just by hanging in the same areas that millionaires frequent. Don't believe me? Oh, let me go ahead and lay that on you right here. Go ahead and name your favorite female rapper, whoever the hell you want to. Them chicks set up and did what? Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Glorilla, Meg Thee Stallion. What did they do? They found some men who were out there making something happen, and all them broads needed to do was just hang around until eventually somebody said, hey, baby, get your ass over here. All they had to do was just hang around. That was it. All they had to do was just hang around the club, and somebody said, hey, come over here. So just understand, as men, I don't know, I'm making it raw for you tonight. As men, don't you know females can't respect us? When the women know, I'll be damned, you talking about what you want to do, but you're not doing it. When the females know, I'll be damned, I could go down to the damn strip club or down to the damn bar where some of these rappers are at. You talking about your rap career and been sitting in the basement smoking weed and ain't nothing jumped off yet. Ain't nothing jumped off yet. That's why they're coming in the door saying, I'll be damned. What are you offering? You're not going to be able to get by on talk and jive talk, fellas. You may be able to pull that on some young gals. It runs out quick. It runs out quick. You can change your life simply by being in places where players, movers, shapers frequent. I'm a big fan of telling y'all to do that. I'm a big fan of that. I don't even know where all the good places are, by the way. I don't even know where they are. I've been to a lot of cities, but truth be told, I don't even know where all the best places are. I mean, I know the best places as a tourist or as a visitor, but let's just keep it 100. I don't know where all the best places are. Yeah, I can name the Ebbett Grill and the Florida Grill in D.C. I can name those, but I know for a fact by going by Howard University, it's like, clearly I don't know the best places. Clearly I don't. Clearly. So what I'm saying is, for those of you who live there or those of you who have wanted to go there and whatnot, you have a hell of a whole lot you could get from that. I got a bunch of y'all right now. You are literally tens of thousands of dollars in debt from college. You literally could spend $1,000 and learn a hell of a whole lot more sitting in the lobby of the Waldorf Astoria. If you can find one. That's literally what could occur. Period. So as men, and you know I give this advice to the women, but I'm talking to the men here tonight. Talking to the men here tonight. This is important for the men to understand. It's time to start asking some serious questions here. What are you offering? It's a Friday night right now. It's a Friday night. Somebody in the chat room talking about Miami. It's a Friday night. I forget that damn club down there that everybody talks about all the damn time. But I'm not even saying you necessarily got to go in there. What I am saying is that as people, but particularly as men, if you're trying to be in financial circles, you're supposed to be moving. You're supposed to be hanging out. You're supposed to know people. You're supposed to get to know one person and the next person and get in those circles. Like damn me, Donnie Brasco. KOD, one love. I think you're right about that. I think it's KOD. You're supposed to be sitting up here. You're supposed to be sitting up here. Club Live. No, I think Live's the one y'all talking about. Jason's not a club dude. Jason is not a club dude. I think that's the one. As a man, you're supposed to be treating that like damn me, Donnie Brasco. Because let me tell you something. When fellas are out here scheming on getting some ass, they become damn me scholars and geniuses. Okay, you know what? That's not true. Actually, let me correct that. I want to have a correction here tonight on the business of something that I've said for years. Because I've said for years that when fellas want to get some females, all of a sudden they become very creative and they become very scholarly. Well, that is true for about half of them. The other half are basically beggars and vagrants. Of that bottom 80%, 40% of them, they have to struggle to get it, but they can get it. 50% of the bottom 80%, 40 of them, they can get it if they struggle. The other half, man, it's just ugly. They spend most of their time in a drought. They spend most of their time in a drought. We're updating the files tonight. The landscape has changed. The information you need to be given has to change along with it. We cannot keep saying the same thing decade after decade because information repeated decade after decade becomes obsolete. It becomes outdated like a textbook. I can't give you a 40-year-old textbook unless it's a science book. And even then, we need to add something to it. Other than that, it needs to be updated. The textbooks need to be updated constantly. So we're updating the textbook tonight. We're updating the textbook tonight. That's an important thing to have. And a lot of folks here need to understand, fellas, going forward here, you have to demonstrate that type of ingenuity. You have to demonstrate that type of ingenuity here because that's not a game. That's not a game. Right now, we have a situation here where they're trying to criminalize manhood. Respect has been decimated. And a lot of you are just so used to taking L's. A lot of you are just so damn used to taking L's that you're just like, oh, well, let me go ahead and do that. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. You can talk about the bad boys and thugs and this, that, and whatever you want to. They are assertive. They're not waiting for somebody to hand them what they want. They get up and they get that. They understand that what they want in life is not given, it is taken. And at the end of the day, people are going to be looking for the individual who has the ability to create the environment that they want. They're looking for somebody who can take the environment and make it what they want. And without that, nothing happens. So I'm asking a simple question here tonight. Where's the competitive class? Do we have a competitive class of males across the board who know they need to be competitive? Because the females damn sure do. Why, they know that they need to be strong and independent and chasing a degree. Now, never mind the fact that it's an exercise in futility and it's been failing for 6 decades and will continue to fail. But the females have a code. Then you come among the fellas there. Where's that? The females are competitive even if they're just going in circles. Even if they're just going in circles, they are competitive. But the men as a group, I'm asking that question tonight. I'm asking that question tonight about competitiveness. I'm asking that question tonight about whether or not you're ready. I'm asking that question tonight. What are men offering? What are the men of today offering? It's time for us to have a gut check. Time for us to have a gut check and look in the mirror and plainly state the situation. What exactly is it that men as a group today are offering? What is that? What exactly are they offering? I want to give you one last analogy here before I open up the phone lines. Years ago, Steve Austin, he was talking, the wrestler Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was talking to Eric Bischoff about, what happened with him when he got fired from WCW by Eric Bischoff. He went to ECW, but before he went, he was talking to another wrestler. And another wrestler who called himself Prime Time. And the guy was like, what's your name? He said, Stunning Steve Austin. And he said, oh, what's so stunning about Steve Austin? And Steve was like, now you mention it, I don't know. Now that you mention it, I don't know. It wasn't until Steve Austin got fired by Eric Bischoff, went to ECW, and then got to the WWE, and his back was against the wall. It wasn't until that happened that he adopted the persona of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, they did execute it differently at first. At first, it was executed differently. And eventually, they got that together. And the persona that brought out his personality. Not that pretending to be Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman. It was when they finally allowed Steve Austin to be Steve Austin. But he had to have a gut check and say, by the way, what's stunning about me? Well, there wasn't anything stunning at the time, but eventually there would be. And that's a moment I want us to have right now. I know some of you don't like this because you've been, you all are these fellas today are in a situation where they're used to being coddled. When it's time for the men to get together and say, okay, let's talk about ourselves as men, first thing they start doing is doing what the females do and say, well, let's change the subject. Instead of saying, you know what, as men, let's talk about ourselves here for a moment. So I'm starting a basic question. And by the way, I'm going to open the phone lines I've opened the phone lines to everybody. Let me go ahead and throw the number up on the screen here. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. I'll go ahead and throw Zoom up as well. By the way, I do give priority to Zoom. So if you want to be on the program and whatnot, definitely you can be that. Make sure you have your camera turned on. I'm not going to put you on sitting in the dark. We don't know what you're doing in there. But we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Asking a very basic question. What are the men of today offering? What are they offering? Where are they leading? What are they actually offering? And if you can tell us, let us know. Let me go ahead and throw the Zoom link up in the chat room. Went ahead and pinned the Zoom link to the top of the chat room, so you can definitely go ahead and click on that there. Got about 2,000 of you in here watching here tonight. It's on a Friday. Jason's giving you the business 2 times a week right now during the holiday season. Giving you the business 2 times during the holiday season here. I do have an announcement to make also for the program here tonight. I do have an announcement to make. So definitely you're going to want to stick around so you can go ahead and hear about that as well. But the telephone number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let's go ahead and hit the phone lines. Let me get caller from area code 404. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on, Mr. Jason Black? This is Nico out of Atlanta.
Nico out of Atlanta, what's on your mind?
Look, excellent broadcast, excellent broadcast. The code, there's no code. The men as a collective group, weak as hell. Their yeses are not their yeses. Their no's aren't their no's. The work ethic is gone. I don't know. It's very dismal. And when I'm listening to your broadcast, I'm just like, oh, my God, man. This guy is reading my mind. Every broadcast you're putting out, straight fire, straight man work, straight let's get to business. But these guys don't want to get to business. They want to like I said on many times, they just want to talk. They want to have a conversation. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to get calluses on their fingers, some pain in their feet because they've been working and building all day, coming back with wins and results. They just want to have a conversation. They don't want to hang with the brothers who want to talk and who want to do business and put money and their work on the table. They just want to pontificate. It's ridiculous, and I'm just so happy that you in particular and the rest of the brothers who are on code are just pinpointing it and choking the shit out of these weak ass dudes. So thank you.
You know, brother,
thank you very
for
much.
you being there in Atlanta, you know, they've been talking about Atlanta as the black Mecca now for 30 years. And then you take a look at the environment and the landscape. And what I'm saying is, and I've been to Atlanta many a moon at nighttime. And you would expect in this situation, if you're taking this seriously, that you should be rock ribbed and dead ass serious. And that's not what you see. You should be rock ribbed and dead ass serious, but that's not what you're seeing, brother.
No, I mean, listen, I'm in total agreement with you. I mean, ever since I've listened to your broadcast, you can tell the people I contribute. My team, we contribute to the black media. And these are not no little chips, but we make sure we allocate funding to our black media. When I deal with some guys out here who shares my same hue, I don't know, man. It's like I'm dealing with a bunch of debutantes. I'd rather deal with some street dudes where I'm more familiar, because I also know if you make a wrong move in the street or you say the wrong thing in the street, your jaw gonna be laying on the ground, or you might be, you might meet your maker. However, it's cold. These guys just keep talking. And I just have never seen just a collective group of men with tight pants and tight shirts on and these flipped hats, thinking them are more cute than a woman, and they be flexing. You got a big expensive vehicle, but I just saw you put $20 in that BMW. Man, you ain't getting nowhere on $20 on unleaded food. Where you going? Boss up. But they just clown around. And I just think, and I really think men like you and men like the other brothers being trailblazers, as long as the loot coming over here, we're going to make sure you eating. You understand me?
Brother,
because
all you got to do,
more.
If fellas want to know what's happening, if you want to see the problem in action, all you got to do is go to Lenox Mall, go in the entrance right there off of Peachtree, where the Cheesecake Factory is. That's the entrance where the valet is and Cheesecake Factory. All you got to do is walk in them doors. You literally will not make it 20 steps in before you are engulfed in the problem. Nobody even has to tell you. If you want to see what the issue is in Atlanta, take your ass to Lenox Mall, where the valets are. You might not even make it through the parking lot before you see what the issue is. But definitely when you open them big doors and walk in there where Cheesecake Factory is, boom, that's all you need to see. And then it's like, oh, no wonder we struggling. You're walking through there, and especially holiday time. By the way, especially holiday time. Especially holiday time. This is prime time to be doing it right now. This is probably going to be the first year. I don't know if I'm going to make it through Atlanta this year, through holiday season. I've already been once, but I don't know if I'm going to make it back through. But this is the time to be going. Everybody's running up through there. Everybody's buying. They got the cars up in there and stuff. And everybody's up in there. And what you're going to see is an epic level of performing, which is what he was referring to about the skinny jeans and whatnot. Yeah, you're going to see an epic level of performing. A bunch of folk trying to look like their favorite rappers who, quote unquote, have made it, and they haven't actually made it. But they're trying to look like their favorite. They're trying to do their best impersonation of somebody that they think has made it. Let me tell you one more thing right here.
Preach.
And I think the brother will agree with me very well about this. One of the issues we got right now is this internet age has created a bunch of lazy dudes who think that they're going to win the lottery on a YouTube channel.
Fucking amen. Amen.
This
Preach it.
this Instagram thing right now is created a situation where the chicks are out here thinking that if they can swing their butt cheeks well enough, then she is gonna get rich. Or there's some well-off dude out there waiting for her to do whatever she wants to. All she has to do, she contributes nothing. She ain't building anything. She's not doing anything useful. She's not flexing her degrees. She's flexing her glutes. And that's it. But as bad as the chicks are, the dudes are worse. The dudes are worse.
Horrible.
Amen. Okay, understand something, y'all. Your social media, all of this stuff right here, all of this was created by white dudes. I said it. Who got together in a group. And whether they got together on another website or whatever, the only reason they wanted to get together was to talk to each other about what they're going to do. Understand something. Jack Dorsey, allegedly, can't tell you really what was happening in his own damn company. Shouldn't be surprising he was too busy pushing his partners out. Yes, I have a very easy time believing that Jack Dorsey didn't actually know what was happening at Twitter all this time. Yeah, because when you look at the history of Twitter, he spent most of his time pushing his original two partners out of the company.
That's right.
That's what he was doing. While the other folks are sitting up here tapping away on Twitter, Dorsey is in the corporate offices overthrowing his partners. And getting them out the way. But that should sound familiar because Mark Zuckerberg, oh hell, well, he was so infamous about it, they made a damn movie, The Social Network, which basically was the story about how he worked together with a bunch of other folk, resourceful people. He got them to get the resources he needed, and it's really on some 48 Laws of Power stuff where I was reading from Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power Instagram page today. If you want to see me on Instagram, go take a look at who I follow.
I'm with you.
And Robert Greene was talking about that in this world, you need to find the best teachers that you can, get what it is that they have to offer, and then leave without ceremony, emotional attachment, or any shame for doing so. They have something of value. You get it, get in, get it, and get out.
That's right.
Mark Zuckerberg gathered together resourceful people. He had a plan for them, and he utilized them to execute his plan. And as soon as the plan took off, he was like, okay, it's time to start voting people off the island. And that's exactly what he did. Now, he tried to vote off as many as he could. He didn't get all of them off, but he voted off as many as he could. So when you take a look at Zuckerberg, Dorsey, hell, the Instagram guys, Snapchat, we can go down to YouTube. We can go down the damn list. There's somebody, Crocs, the Crocs shoes. There's a story. You all should go check out the story about those Crocs shoes you all like to wear. Every time you turn around, in the words of Nipsey Hussle, circle got smaller, everybody can't go.
Everybody cannot go.
So you're sitting here on a social network, and instead of you using it for what the word says, networking, you're using it to slide up in somebody's DMs and the only people benefiting from that is Facebook and Spirit Airlines. But in your personal life, it ain't popping. It's not happening. But then again, brother, maybe that's the hierarchy of it. You know, it's many have the option, but very few exercise it. I'll let you have the last word.
No, I think you said it most, and a lot of the other brothers and sisters who's clearly on a clear cutting path. You have to control the narrative, and I think you guys are controlling the narrative where it makes people say, "Wait, pause up." Now it also informs people, and now we take that material and we keep on broadcasting your message. So that's being on code with number one. Number two, look, I've been listening to you for quite some time, and I have turned other people on to you. And, I'm not going to say any names, but, they went into down-putting on you. Oh, Jason Black, he sounds like this and he sounds like that. And it gave me an opportunity to look at these guys like, yeah, you a pussy. I can see puss all over your face. And you can't deal with this man just saying the truth. And well, he doesn't show his face. Well, what the fuck? God didn't show his face, and you don't even know Jesus, and he didn't show his face, but you have the cross and all this business around you. But is this man speaking a lie? And what are the results? Stop getting in your emotions and man up, nigga. And as I kept on looking at these individuals, they fell off of me because I'm just like, I'm too swaggy to be around crusty dudes like this. How did they end up around me? First of all, guys, all I'm saying is, look, when somebody is giving you some real fact truth and you can feel the twitch in you, maybe that twitch ain't that you dislike that person. Maybe that person is giving you something you should hold on to and analyze within self. And after you figure out that you on some bullshit, straighten up and just fly straight. That's it. Brother, thank you for everything. And you already know the chip's going to keep coming and we're going to keep moving with you.
Thank you very much for giving this call, brother. We appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to the Zoom here. I got Troy sitting on Zoom with us here. Let's go ahead and get you up front. What's on your mind, brother?
What's going on, Jason? Just making sure you can hear me clear. You can hear me?
We got you. What's on your mind?
I think that, that I done been on your show. I mean, your broadcast. Thank you for allowing me back, man. And, I think a lot of young men or men that are at a certain age are afraid to be vulnerable and really speak on what they going through. So I'm here to try to be a little open about that. And first off, to comment on what you were saying about what men have to offer. If you are a working person and you grinding your tail off, I think that the thing that guys at my age bracket are making my kind of income, the thing that I've been dangling a lot lately, and especially like trying to shame the young ladies that I grew up with from my demographic in my high school, is that, I've been out here doing what I do, of course, truck driving, stating to them like, 10 years. There's been a house there's been a nice car, and no woman has benefited from it. So I like to say, though, I'm still in process to trying to be the best that I can be, the best version of myself, exactly. And honestly, trying to chase to be as much like you as possible. I know I got a long way to go because you inspire me a lot, is that, I do a lot of threatening when I say on Facebook, I can take a woman and give her a $300,000-$400,000 house or give her an $80,000-$100,000 BMW comfortably without losing. And most guys, they can't say that, but then at the same time, they too jealous to ask how to even get to that level. And then when you try to offer them to come get money with you, or you want to teach them, whether it's in a social setting or even on Facebook, they start acting jealous and like throwing shade at you, or they'll see a post that you make, get all in their feelings because of their mommy issues. What's your thoughts on that?
The internet is the fakest creation in the history of man. And when it comes to social media in particular, this thing that has the potential and the ability to garner untold resources and riches, concrete resources and riches. And instead, it's been reduced to the level of a damn toy in the hands of the masses. So what the Elon Musks and the Mark Zuckerbergs do with their ability to connect to the world is say, hey, let me put together an enterprise. The average person says, well, let me go ahead and indulge my primal urges. So I think I was reading a quote from Aristotle, I want to say it was, but that great men pursue virtues and weak men pursue desires and urges. And that's what you're looking at. The other thing is, brother, this is something that you got to understand. All of us have to understand this with everybody we talk to here. It isn't that they don't see it. They see what you see. The bottom line is, in the words of Julius Caesar, it's easier to get men to commit to die than it is to get them to commit to pain and suffering. So when you tell them to sacrifice, all they see is you sacrificing. And what you're finding is that they are unwilling to, the low level that they're at. What you're saying is, man, y'all are sacrificing greatness. And all they hear from you is, yeah, but you want me to sacrifice the weekend. So let's be very, very clear. There's a reason why capitalism has succeeded to the level it has, because there's a majority of the population that is comfortable being where they are, and that you can't move them kicking, screaming, yelling, or otherwise. I'm here to talk to the ones who want to move. But what you need to understand is that once somebody's been crawling on their belly so long, it's very easy. And in the internet era, what they use to soothe their busted, broken egos is pretending that they got something they don't. You all remember a few weeks ago here, I was showing you these females out here and with their Mercedes Benzes that are damn near a decade old. And then in their comments section, it's a bunch of females sitting up here clapping and cheering for them. Your Mercedes is damn near a decade old and they're clapping and cheering. You go, girl. We're happy for you. In light of that environment, just understand, you depending on concrete tangibles in an environment where people are now so beaten down that they have embraced a fantasy world in order to comfort themselves in this, you're not going to move them. Fake is the currency.
Well, one more thing that I wanted to say real quick, Jason, that's frustrating, especially like for guys in my position that's doing okay. It seems like we are surrounded by these hating, and I'm about to do your voice real quick, these hating ass niggas. I mean, it's so many of them. Guys flipping on me left and right from my Facebook posts, knowing good and hell well personally, they don't really want to go there with me if we start talking about income, living, they ugly ass wife, and, you know, my life and the type of women that I actually date. And I wrestle men, and I'm speaking for the guys that's, you know, that 6-figure income, that are 6'5", that are, I like to say, you know, educated. We sit back and we got to watch all these weak dudes around us try hating on us in front of the women. And it really just like boils our blood, because it's like, dude, if I show you the type of women I want to post, the type of women that I'm dating, I really want to show like what I really be having going on, but I be too busy at times. You know what I'm saying? And it's frustrating because these niggas know you really living it. They know you really getting to it. And yet they still will be petty as hell and try to poke the bear.
Well,
until you, and Jason, let me say this, I'm gonna shut up. And I know you hate when I do this because I did this the last time on your show. Till you end up, you know, sleeping with their mama, hitting their sister, the girl they really, really like, and gotta send her back. It's just the Detroit in me. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing about it. You have to understand, to the mind that understands it, no proof is necessary. To the mind that refuses, no proof will be good enough. It doesn't matter what I do or what I say here. If you understand that I brought you reality, you're not trying to fight it. You're trying to get more of the access and information. If you're a person who is determined to fight what I'm saying because what Jason's saying sounds like hard work, then all you're going to start doing is arguing. It doesn't matter if I do a televised program from my living room every single day. Seeing me is not what their problem is. They will then tell you, okay, well, we finally saw him. That's not good enough. You grabbing your female and putting her on Facebook, I don't give a damn if it's a mirror dime. That's not going to change it. The argument's going to change after that. It's going to be, okay, well, he got a badass bro, but she dumb. She don't realize she ain't got to do it. That's what it'll be. So the goalpost is not going to sit still. The goalpost is going to grow Nikes and start running. That's what it does. So this isn't a matter of that. Now, you do need to have proof, and I'm a firm believer. A female keeps a man sharp. Understand something. A female keeps a man sharp because, remember what I said before, they have different needs than us. They have something different from us. They got different expectations. So I'm a firm believer that a female keeps a man sharp, and you can't really come into the fullness of your masculinity until you have been able to demonstrate power in a real world environment where somebody really has to benefit from your ability. So what I'm saying is it forces you to play a tighter game. It forces you to step your game up because there's really somebody watching you. There's really somebody watching. There's really somebody keeping score. And it really forces you to play a tighter game. As opposed to when you're by yourself. And yeah, you might be good at it, but there's dimensions to this. So pressure works well for us as men. And I'm a firm believer, the more responsibility you take on, the better. Now, that doesn't mean you go off and go necessarily take up a bunch of permanent expenses. You don't buy a house unless you want to buy one. That's fine.
Right.
But you find a chick, you upgrade her, and the whole point of it should be to demonstrate that you're one of a kind. And once you've proven that ability, you just keep honing it and sharpening it. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. So think of it like a credit score. There's different types of credit: retail cards, credit cards, installment loans, mortgages. There's different ways, different types of debt instruments that build credit. Creditors want to see that you're skilled at as many as possible and how well you can handle that. Your credit score goes up when you demonstrate you can handle more responsibility. I'm a firm believer as a man, when you add females to the equation to demonstrate that you have more competence, that your core competence is expanding. You've got the ability to handle more things. You can talk and chew bubble gum and drive the car at the same time. That's the kind of position I would have that to be in. You don't just do it for the sake of doing it. You do it because you've got the ability to handle that.
All right.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me see. I've got... who is this? Quesadilla. Okay. I got you on Zoom there. Go ahead and turn everything on. I see you there. All right. What's on your mind, brother?
Going on, brother Jason? Just really, can you hear me good?
Yeah, you're good. What's on your mind?
Just kind of want to expand on what that brother was saying. So first and foremost, I want to say loyalty is thicker than blood. And I've seen my mentor go through exactly what he was talking about. A bunch of brothers hating, and they really fumble their own bag. And I've seen it myself where, I've stayed loyal. Anything he's continued to teach me, like you've taught a lot of young brothers, it can help get you in a better position just by staying on track and being a solid person. But a lot of these young dudes out here, and I'm only 32 myself, they, exactly what you were saying, they don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to sit still. Even if they're not in the mode where they're working and grinding, they don't even want to sit still to figure out their situation and figure out which direction they need to go. And so I think, we have a lot of female-minded men these days that don't know how to take on those attributes to really get themselves pointed in a direction.
Too many of them, because they haven't been trained and mentored. Character sets. A man is supposed to be able to deal with difficulties. And like I said, you're supposed to take on more responsibilities, more pressures, because you're challenging yourself. There's supposed to be a ladder. There's supposed to be a ladder of performance. What is it that Jordan Peterson them called a dominance hierarchy? Fellas today don't like that because they haven't been really raised or equipped to handle a performance ladder, a dominance hierarchy. So they're not used to the idea of competing for the top slot. You don't have to compete to be in the top slot in the NFL or NBA. There's a bunch of slots out there, but wherever you are, you're supposed to be trying to get as close to the top or at the top as you can. That's where you're supposed to be. That's what you're supposed to be doing as a man. And what I'm saying is, whether you make it or not, you should make some progress, whether you make it or not. But the bottom line is your women, your children, your community, they can see if you're not competitive. So don't get mad and don't get upset when these people see you're not competing. You don't have the heart. You don't want to fail. You don't have the emotional integrity to be able to pick yourself up if you do fail. Now, brother, like the young brother who just got off the phone there, he was talking about his house. He wants to buy this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, don't do what I did. I got the chick, I got the house and stuff. Oh, no, I got the chick, I got the house, went flat broke. Blew it all. Blew the whole damn thing. Don't do what I did. But then again, by the way, I did it. And guess what? I picked myself up and dusted myself off, and then I did it again. But here we are, number 3 or 4 times at bat, And you know what? If you have the integrity and the fortitude to be able to handle that, people will see it. See, these are the intangibles I'm talking about. People can tell if you're the kind of fellow who, if life knocks you down, it's going to have to kill you. That's the only way it's going to make you stay down. People can see it by the look in your eyes. They can see it by the cut of your jib. They can hear it by the tone in your voice that that's who you are. But guess what? They can also tell by all those things if that's not who you are. Well, don't be surprised when they don't trust you with anything.
That's true. And you said this before, Brother Jason. I'm going to land my plane here. The competition, the bar is low. I hadn't dated or whatever you want. I know you don't believe in dating, but I hadn't dated in years. And once I really got back out here and, you start talking to these women, you realize these men ain't offering shit. And the competition bar is very low. So if you come in, you got a sound mind. Like you said, you don't necessarily, you want to shoot for it to be, a top level, but you don't even have to be in the top bracket. All you have to do is offer some information, offer a woman some game or some sauce that's going to help them get to a better level. And you basically going to outdo 80% of these men off the bat, just off some baseline stuff.
Yeah. I mean, remember, men have a range, women have a type. Men have a range, women have a type. And when it comes to women's type, once you fit that model, it's kind of like a credit score. You start getting to a point where you get diminishing returns. Once you've hit the bar, that's all you have to do. There is no woman on the planet who is looking for you to be Jay-Z or Bill Gates. That's not what they're looking for. Right. But what she is looking for is to make sure that you are the best she can do. That's why I'm saying, as a man, if you perform at a certain level, you're the best she can do. And it should be very, very clear. Remember, it is certainty that triggers hypergamy, not uncertainty. When she is uncertain that you're the best she can do, when she's uncertain about what will happen if she jumps out there, let me just sit where I am. If she feels reasonably certain, if I jump out there, I can bag this other guy because I think I can do better. If she feels certain about that, they're going to go for that. And there's too many fellas out here that it's very clear that, dude, there's no penalty. It's not very high a bar to clear. There's no certainty for it. And what they're looking at are the females. But I'm telling you, that's emblematic of other things. Take a look at your job. Take a look at your standard of living. Take a look at your expectations. Your life at 40 looks very little different from your life at 25. Let me say that again. We got men out here, they're at 40 years old, and their life looks very little different than it did at 25. Now you want me to believe that you're going to hit a home run and knock it out of the park in the next 48 months? I'm going to believe that now. You haven't done it in the last 2 decades, but you're now going to do it in the next 2 years? That's ambitious. That's ambitious. Now, can it be done? Well, I suppose it can be, certainly, according to Einstein's theory of special relativity. I imagine it can be. But here's the real thing, brother. If you ain't sacrificed for most of your damn life, how am I going to have confidence that you're ready to go all in and you're ready to bleed now? Because here's the real thing. You're going to have to bleed more now than you would have at 20. Yeah. And now I'm going to believe that a fella who has never gotten a paper cut is ready to deal with stab wounds. I'm going to believe that now.
These brothers can't even sacrifice for 6 months to a year. And even myself, I've had to go through, this economy that changes people's circumstances. Sometimes you just got to sit the fuck down. Excuse my language. You got to sit down for 6 months, stop worrying about women, stop worrying about sex, worry about your finances and getting yourself into a better position. And that can change your whole life. And that's just, like I said, 6 months to a year.
Well, you have to be willing to invest that. But let's just be very, very honest. Most people, and we're talking about the men today, most men today don't have the courage to invest in themselves. And even if they did, they don't have the knowledge of what to invest. They don't have the courage. They don't have the knowledge of what to invest. Let me go ahead and give y'all the secret. Let me go ahead and explain it to you here real quick so that you understand exactly what it is. So you understand it can't fail. Jason, you're going to guarantee this? It can't fail. By definition, it can't. Every man needs to have $1 million plan. Let me say that again. Every single man needs to have $1 million plan. That sentence right there alone terrifies and scares the majority of the male population because that figure to them is so gargantuan they can't wrap their heads around it. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something right here. I host my Patreon, and my patrons get ground level game from me on everything here. And this is something I explained to them. To my patrons, they saw this weeks ago. Y'all are just going to hear it now tonight, and I really shouldn't do it because the folks who pay me over there, I have more faith that they're going to execute it. But by the way, I want y'all to know something. I put up a video about these Indian folks. They got a few gas stations up there in, I think, the New York area. The first one that they started with, they had a little trucking company. They saved up $1.5 million. Took them 15 years. That's basically $100,000 a year. So they had a little trucking company. They saved up basically $100,000 a year for 15 years. Used that to go pay on a $3.5 million gas station. And the rest is history. They own a few of them now. And according to them, they're making $37 million.
They work in unison.
So yeah, but my real point here is, by the way, $1.5 million. Brother, that's a house in Buckhead.
Yep.
Now, folks out here they don't have a problem paying $1.5 million for a house. Now that they can wrap their heads around. Let me go pay for a very large consumer item. They can wrap their heads around that. But if I say, hey, why don't we put that why don't we go ahead and save up that $1 million so you can go ahead and invest that yourself? They're going to get scared real quick.
Absolutely.
I'll let you have the last word.
And just to expand on what you just said, people can't wrap their hands around it. But what you said earlier is getting around people who are successful, are hyper successful, and standing on business with them, standing on your 10 toes. So you can't wrap your head around that until you're around somebody that makes that $100K in a month, that $250,000 in a month. Then it starts making a lot more sense, and you see it's more attainable.
Well, like I say, you have to see yourself as that person, though. You have to see yourself as that person, because to be totally honest with you, in the modern era here, $1 million isn't really that much anymore. That used to be balling out of control. That you used to be set for life. In the 80s, if you had $1 million, you were set for life. Today, nigga, you're going to be set for about 10 years. You'll be set for about 10 years. So what I'm saying is, and that goes to the mindset and the character of the person. In the day and age today, we need to see, hey, what's your trajectory? And ladies, that's the metric you all need to be using. Do you have a man who wants to be a thousandaire or a man who's aiming to be a millionaire? Because just understand something, that's going to tell you everything about the trajectory of his life and everything he intends, everything he expects, because he's not going to do more for you than he expects to do for himself. He's not. He simply is not. So if your fellow you're talking to does not have $1 million plan, and by that I mean $1 million ambition that is being backed by real world work and efforts, forget about it. You're going to be sitting here for the rest of your life dreaming and wishing about how it could be. You've got to choose carefully. No, that number is not too big. That number is right where it needs to be. That assures you that the man you're dealing with has proper ambitions. That's what you should be looking for. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. We're going to go ahead and hit back up on these phone lines. I got a number of y'all sitting on the line here. So area code 562-561-818-267-630. Everybody else who's on the line, just hang tight. I'm going to go ahead and get to everybody here. Let me get caller from area code 562. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, this is Jay from Long Beach, California.
Jay from Long Beach. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the program was very insightful and it's spot on with the realities of what we see out here. Like with a lot of black men, I see a lot of fundamental issues. Like working on my business, 6 Zeros. It's like a lot of the times when dealing with other brothers, it's like there's these core issues. Like one of my pet peeves is follow through, and I feel like as men, we have to trust each other's word. If we set a date and a time, or we have deliverables that we have to meet or deliver by a certain day, we have to either deliver on that day or reset the expectation and say, hey, I'm not going to have it by X date, but I'll have it by X date plus one additional day. And I just do not see that follow through with a lot of brothers. I met some that do have that follow through, and we do some good business together, but it's really disheartening. And I'm like, as 6-0, I'm not trying to promote anything, but I'm just saying as it continues to grow, I'm really concerned about my ability to just be able to hire strictly within the community and keep the business, primarily staffed with us.
You shouldn't.
Okay.
You should hire the best people possible. Period. You owe that to your business. You don't go into business. This is what I was referring to earlier when I said Vengeance Incorporated. What you're doing is Vengeance Incorporated. You're running a business, not a charity. A business needs competent individuals. It's nice. You may have a preference for a certain candidate, but at the end of the day, you must do that which serves the business. You're not running a social charity or a social organization. So you see, when you're running a social organization where the money is coming from somewhere else, well, then you have the luxury of making those kind of decisions. But if this is a business, you don't have the luxury of saying, well, my personal druthers are to do ABC. You must do what is in the best interest of the business, or you will ultimately no longer have the business, period. So you can give preferential treatment where you wish, absolutely. But if that is not available, then you move on to the next thing. You must serve the business. As somebody said to me a long time ago, I didn't go into business to go out of business. So these are decisions that you will make. But no, you shouldn't feel any way about that at all. If there's a need that needs to be filled, then that needs to be filled. Do you have a preferential candidate? Sure you do. And if that's not available, well, Jason, what do? You hire the one that was not preferred. And then we get back to business.
Spot on.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a call from area code 561. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason, and everybody listening to this broadcast tonight. This is Chance Needson Shriner. I'm calling from Loxahatchee, Florida.
All right, Chance, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm glad I listened to your broadcast because you put me on to the trucking thing. I'm going to be working for a few days for this company called Oakley, pulling food grain, making $100K yearly. And I remember you told me before I started working for Warner about opening this big warehouse, like for a bunch of trucks.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I don't remember much about it. I was trying to see if you might remember.
Warehousing space is a big thing right now. I was watching the video the other day, like an hour outside of Los Angeles, heading into I want to say, I forget off the top of my head if it's Nevada. I want to say it's in Nevada, heading towards Vegas, and they're warehousing space between Vegas and Los Angeles is a huge thing right now. Big thing. And it's just one of many. In Florida, you got the high-speed rail that's trying to connect itself from Miami to Orlando. And I think really they want to take it all the way up to Jacksonville. I think that's ultimately what they want to do. Well, actually, Brightline, he actually wants to go nationwide, but you got to start somewhere. So certainly you have opportunities in that regard. So you're not ready to do it now. I mean, 1 million square feet of space is a bigger thing. Here's the thing I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you that when you're young, you're struggling and you're trying to get things together. And I understand that. You're trying to wrap your head around these things. The younger you are and the sooner that you get experience at trying and failing, at trying and then figuring out what works and then what doesn't, at trying and realizing your personal druthers do not make money, at trying and doing that, that's the kind of thing that I want you all to start learning. If you can learn it early, then by the time you're in your 30s and 40s, you'll have enough experience, real world experience. You'll have enough meaningful experience, both bad and good. You've seen a lot, you've experienced a lot, and you made all of your biggest mistakes, you made them early. There's nothing worse than making the biggest mistakes of your life late. Make the big mistakes early so you get the experience you need out of them. Hopefully you're paying attention to it. Get the experience you need out of it early, and then you can move on to bigger things. Then you can start talking about other stuff like, hey, I'm in the trucking business, but have I ever actually paid attention to where this truck is going? Is this truck just driving around the wilderness, or is it going somewhere? Well, I'll be damned. Your trucks are going to truck stops. Your trucks are going to oil refineries. Your trucks are mainly nowadays going to distribution centers and warehouses. So I'm just simply saying to you that you're seeing the business from the inside out. You're seeing the business from the inside out, and there are other avenues, these things you might want to learn. Well, Jason, that's a lot of damn money that they spend on these things. Right, that's why you get partners. You're supposed to be paying attention out there. If you're a truck driver, dude, by definition, you're meeting millionaires literally every load. If you're a truck driver in America today, you are meeting millionaires on literally every load. The real question is, do you see yourself as Donnie Brasco working behind the scenes to check out who the players are and who the movers and shapers are? Or do you just see yourself as a guy driving a truck?
Definitely trying to become like those guys. Yeah, I'm just gonna be starting with this company, Oakley, and like how long should I wait? How many years should I wait to move on from 100K to like more than that? Start driving like other.
How many years should you wait to increase your income?
Yeah. Or how many months?
How many months? I don't know. A day. If you have the ability, if you have the ability to increase your income, you're not supposed to take your foot off the gas. No, sir. No. If you have the ability to do that, and it's a legitimate opportunity that you can actually hold on to, it's not some fake thing or whatever. You're supposed to always do that. You're supposed to be like an athlete. Whoever is offering you the bigger check, that's where you go. Deion Sanders all day. You're not going to, because you're young right now, dude. This is the time for you to be rolling the wheels off this thing while you're still young enough and you have the health to be able to do it. So
I guess
maximize your gains now.
Same way I did Warner, drive like 6 months and then like move on to the next one.
If there's a substantially better offer, because in my world, I wouldn't leave an employer unless somebody was offering me at least a third more. So if they're offering me 33% more, you might be able to twist my arm and get 25%, but definitely if somebody's offering me a third more, like for example, let's just say you're making $30 an hour, for example, and somebody's offering you, $40 an hour. Well, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Now, if they're offering, 33 or 34, I don't know. It depends. They're offering you 40. Oh, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 818. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, this is Daryl Richardson, caller from Anderson Island. Jason, you're on point, and all the callers have been on point. I'm very impressed. I think we're making moves. I think we're getting it together. Everybody just stay humble. I think that black man, I think we're going to get it together. Jason, you're doing work. And the way I'm hearing brothers reaching out and calling, it makes me feel better. I'm a 64-year-old brother, retired, raised 3 boys. And your words humble me, man. Your words humble me. And the callers who called in, it represents to me brothers are really trying. Brothers are paying attention. So I think it's going to be okay. All we got to do is fall back, stay on this groove, and I think we're going to make it, man, because it's too many people calling into here, too many people in the chat. We're getting it. We're getting it slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. All we got to do is stay to ourselves, keep it tight. Brothers know brothers. Brothers recognize brothers, and let that dumb shit fall by the wayside. Ain't nobody got to pay attention to that. Man up. Peace out, Jason. Thank you for your work. You a man's man, and I appreciate a brother to a brother. Peace out.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And certainly, like I say, definitely, it can be hard sometimes because you're getting distracted, and it can be hard sometimes. I understand that. But that's what being a man is staying focused. There are distractions everywhere, both internal and external. Being able to deal with that and stay focused, that defines who you are. Caller from area code 267, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Tammy calling from Williamsport, PA. How are you? Good evening. I got to say that a lot of the unproductive men, I have to blame all that, single mothers. And I tell females every day, if you're angry with the type of men that are out there, you have to blame the single mothers because they created this atmosphere. I have one question. So I have a dilemma. I'm not going to say a dilemma, but my mom put me in a weird situation where she has a friend at work, and her friend's son is going through a lot of things. He's in juvenile detention, and he was kicked out of many schools. Now, she gave me the phone. She gave me the phone to her friend, and she's like, because I'm in the military, she wanted me to give her some type of advice. And I feel like if this boy is having trouble, he needs man leadership because she's a single mother of 5. And that's not much I can really do. And even if I give her the number to a recruiter, right, it depends what type of recruiter.
Okay, Timmy, I'm going to start charging you for calling in because you kind of meander a lot. What is your question?
Okay. How can, a single mother of 5, if she's having issues with her son, what type of advice I can give her? Because I can't tell a boy what to do. Like, he needs a man in his life, really.
Yes, she needs to submit to a man. And if she's a single mom of 5, clearly she's used to laying down for men, but she obviously doesn't have a clue of how to submit to a responsible, competent man. So she needs to submit to a competent man.
All right. As far as the military, would that be, somewhat of a good advice? I guess it depends on the type of person who's going into the military.
A lot of the time that doesn't turn out well, but it's better than nothing, I suppose, because she's already done as much damage. She's the real source of the problem. Single mothers are the real source of the issue, so she's done this colossal amount of damage already. So for other people to come swinging in the last hour to try to correct things, that's going to be an iffy thing. So certainly if they're willing to, that may help.
Yes, she expected my call back, and I feel very uncomfortable even giving her any type of advice. I was about to give her your number, but I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay, well, definitely, that is one option there, because it doesn't sound like the father is involved. But that definitely is one option.
Do you want me to give her a number?
If you wanted to, you can, but I was just saying, I was talking about your military suggestion. That is one possibility there. The only problem is we find that so many of these boys, when they get raised by these single moms, they turn into their son husbands. And in a lot of cases, they're uncoachable. And there's not much you can do with them. Now, militaries have been very, very good for the last few thousand years of dealing with that kind of situation, because then they become the parents and they have authority over you and the ability to physically punish you, which is a very, very powerful, useful tool to have. But boy, I got to tell you, that can be tough sometimes. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Let me see here. Is this a Skype caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes. Are you with me?
Yes. What is your name?
Oh, yes. My name is Mo, and I wanted I haven't talked to you for a while, my friend. And,
where are you calling from, Mo?
I'm calling from Singapore.
Okay. Are you a regular listener of mine?
Yeah, I used to call you guys. Yeah. Okay. But
here's what you need. Here's what you need to do, Mo. I need for you to drop $10 in the Cash App or the Super Chat. That's what you need to do, so we can make sure you're on the up and up. If you've been listening to me for a while and you talked to me before, you need to drop $10 in the Cash App or the Super Chat. I'm talking about 10 American dollars. So whatever the conversion rate is to Singapore, You need to drop that off. Once you have that done, call back in. We'll chop it up. Not really sure who Mo is, but Mo, welcome to Mo Money. Yeah, you can drop $10 in the super chat of the Cash App. The link is in the description. My mods can go ahead and help you out with that if you need it, Mo. But yeah, got to be on point. Not really sure what's going on. That phone sounds like he's calling from inside of a steamer trunk. So I hope he isn't getting kidnapped. It sounds like he's down in the hull of a cruise ship or his ocean liner. So tell him he got to go ahead and see if he can verify his credentials. Calling from area code 630. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Nick from Chicago by way of Houston.
Nick from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I had 2 points basically talking about both sides because I had really let myself down and I became one of those Xbox carrying gamer heads at one point. So much so that I got offered money to play video games and I even turned that down. That's how lazy and shiftless I was. But before that, I fell into that. And when you said the point about distractions, I think about before the last caller. I think I allowed myself to get distracted because I went from networking and meeting presidents of companies like Rolls-Royce, Motorola, Alcatel-Lucent, and doing conferences and even taking up one of the people at one of these companies to mentor me. And what they told me was I needed to achieve a certain amount of things first, and then they would take me under their wing. This is what some of these individuals have told me.
In other words,
what I did,
they needed to see you demonstrate a proof of concept and a level of competence before they could take you seriously, because they were not investing money in you. They were investing something much more precious, time. And before they invest time, they want to make sure they're dealing with somebody serious. Now I'm going to say something that folks really ain't going to like, and just hold your thought for a moment, Nick. I'm going to let you finish. Hold your thought. Don't lose it. Yep. Let me tell y'all, every once in a while, they have some black folk who come through there. They're like, okay, let me get to filtering, because some of them are able to hustle their way into a meeting with some of these folk, and then it's a bunch of jive talk about a bunch of things they're not ready to do or can't do. It's all over the place and things, so they start filtering on that. So what they want to do here in your case, I'm not saying it's because you're black or whatever, but I am just saying, just understand, we've all experienced that. We've all experienced that. And these folks, their time is very valuable. They know that, because this will sound familiar. They've got the kind of money that can change your life.
Yep.
Let me say that again. They've got the kind of money that will change your life. You talking about Lucent? Lucent has access to the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. Let's be very, very clear. A century's worth of oil money, Lucent has access to the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. It don't get no bigger than that. So if you got access to somebody at a Lucent or something like that, he's like, okay, do you realize 10 minutes of my time will change your damn life? He's going to be very selective about where that 10 minutes goes. Very selective. Because, number one, because he should be. Number two, because he can be. Go ahead and finish your point.
Yeah, so long story short, I worked for one of them. Another one mentored me. It was a black guy. Another one was an Indian guy. And, well, I fumbled the ball. I tell you that. I fumbled the ball. I got unfocused. And I got to tell you, with the Xbox thing, right after that, I think that killed me on the inside, because they gave me some things to do. It's one thing about failing, and that's exactly what the one guy that was mentoring me, I don't want to name drop anybody, but it's one thing about failing, and it's another thing about me giving up. And after a while, I tried one thing. 1 year went to two. Had short-term success, got unfocused. Then 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And then after that, it kind of just stopped. And it took me literally, I think it was really just your broadcast. I started to come into my own, and then I think you splintered off into the business either late or mid 2019 or something. And one of those posts, one of those broadcasts got me fired up. And it took between then and pretty much earlier this year to really just recover back to where I was in about 2013, 2014, including opening up bank accounts I didn't have, improving my credit score, and just really getting back focused. But I became an Xbox card-carrying degenerate, really. I had dated, I was a homosexual, all of that stuff. And then some things happened. I got some stuff going, and even still, I fumbled the ball because I wasn't there. So I can confirm, anybody that's holding one of those Xboxes, somebody that's one of those gamers, I can recognize it in other people because I was that person at one point. I went from highly motivated, then I started getting depressed about, not meeting those, pressured up. I mean, I had 2 hours of sleep. I was getting it just to get in contact with these people before, then to maintain the contact and try to get to the just doing some kind of product, some kind of thing to just keep in contact with them. Now, I did reconnect with two of those people, and I'm doing some things behind the scenes. I'll just say it like that. But it took me a long damn time just to recover that. And I mean, I lost sleep, and it is a little bit harder now that I'm 32, trying to stay awake. My energy levels are a little bit less. It's not too much, but I notice it than when I was 18, 19, 21, and 22. But I definitely can confirm that, and it took me a while. So I got my mind, head on a swivel, focused, but I really did. I became an extreme homosexual.
Well,
Xbox
the two things that tend to happen, you make a decision in life. You make a decision that struggling, that you're okay with it, that you're really okay with that. I remind people, it's kind of like the architect's speech from The Matrix Reloaded. We stumbled upon a solution whereby which nearly 99% of all test subjects accepted the Matrix, accepted being in the program, so long as they were given a choice. Even if the choice was at a near, not unconscious level, but a near unconscious level, so long as they've chosen it. And let's be very, very clear. A lot of fellas out here, they've chosen this. They're okay with it. They're all right with it. They don't like struggling, but they are willing to accept struggling. They don't like being in a weaker position than their non-black counterparts, but they're willing to sit there with it. It's like, man, this kind of sucks, but if you're not putting in the work necessary to alleviate it, you have accepted where you are. Simple as that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 817. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, it's Shakia. I'm calling from Atlanta. Hey, Jason.
All right, Shakia from Atlanta. What's on your mind?
Okay. Oh, man, this last caller added to some of my points. I want to talk about what a man can offer. And some of the people mentioned it in the chat line, like discipline and time management. And if there was some women that was watching, I want to break this down, why you look for discipline first in a man. Okay, when you're raising children to be a wife, women, I'm going to talk to them, we need a man to correct us. So then the children can physically see what being corrected look like because the woman submits to the man, and then the child can practice submitting to the father, of course, and to the mom, where it's a home of respect. Now, this time management, if you can get a man to discipline you, he most likely have discipline. And then this time management component, this is where women, oh my gosh, I think you should do a broadcast on this. They don't understand, to be successful, you have to manage streams of income. Streams of income is not focused on a degree. One degree is not going to help you manage streams of income. So women think that getting a man to give them all they need is their stream. It's their success. But if you don't have a man to have discipline and time management to manage those streams, then just as you said, Jason, you will lose that home. All
Well,
the cars.
there's one other aspect of this that simply cannot be understated. And for those of you who listen live or recorded and you've made it here this long, there's one thing I want you to understand. Key to everything else. It is essential that the man you are with has a vision. This man has got to be able to literally, physically see himself where he wishes to go. And I am adamant you must remove any religious component from it. That can't be his drive. And stay away from a fellow whose motivation is powered by a religious component, because religious components, if God tells him one day you need to put pedal to the metal, and then God tells him after he's been failing for a few years, you know what, money don't really matter, you can't go off of that. So I would advise you, or anybody who does, is motivated by their own version of Hotepism or something, stay away from them. But a man who has a vision, a man who is letting you know, I see where I am today and I ain't having it. Not you. You're not the one who has to say this. He's the one letting you know, hey, I ain't having it. You take a look at the biggest names in the entertainment industry that black folk have created. Dallas Steve Austin with TLC and a bunch of other folk there. Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. Jermaine Dupri. Birdman. Dame Dash. Jay-Z. We can go down the list. These were all black. Teddy Riley. These are black men, came from the projects, came from the streets, and they all, 50 Cent, they all had one thing in common. I ain't staying here. Or as 50 Cent said it, get rich or die trying. Now, that's called drive. That part right there is called drive. Baby, I'm going to get rich or die trying. That's drive. But that's not vision. Vision is knowing where he wants to go. When he's literally sitting up here telling you, hey, my goal is very simple. We're going to slap them butt cheeks of yours in a Bentley. And I said Bentley. I didn't say S-Class. Hey, baby, you going to be shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue. We going to have a house outside of Buckhead. Buckhead can't contain me. What I'm saying is having a man who has a vision, not a man who has a dream, but a man who has a vision that he sees himself. He sees himself, that this is what he expects from him. Now when he gets up in the morning, he goes and he talks to the players and the hustlers and the movers and the shapers. He's gaining knowledge. He's getting out there. He's doing things. He's making it happen. He is showing that he ain't smoking weed. He's not drinking. He's got realistic expectations. He's not doing any of that. He's a guy who is bringing concrete results to it and showing that that's what it is. He's a guy bringing concrete results and showing that that's what it is. That's a man who is serious. So first and foremost, I would say before you invest your time as a woman and a man, the first thing you should be looking for is, does that man have a vision? Then from there, you can determine, by the way, is he competent? Does he have competence? Or is he a guy who he's got high hopes, but he's really not capable of being that? I'll let you have the last word.
Okay. And so I do want to agree with you, and I'm going to throw something else out there. Like when you got money making money, a man got to be able to correct when the money, don't flow. With the last point I want to say, a man should be so busy building their circle. And this goes to the point of the man that was saying he posts on social media about what he's doing. It's a flaw in this system of helping people that's not in your circle. When I meet a man, I'm trying to find out if he is a resource to the people in his circle and their children and the people they're helping. So that way, you're never helping a loser because you're connected to everybody or people that have people to build upon. there's no need for us to get distracted with losers. And so, yeah, this is to me, I just wanted to sum up. I'm a young lady that figured out how to be a stay-at-home mom without working. Let's put it like that. My money pay my bills. And so for the men on a moderate lifestyle, so for the men that's out there that's really looking for a really good woman, you got to understand that if you want a feminine woman that do go out there and make the money and she read books and she learn all these things, the only thing you can offer a woman like me is the discipline, because I know that I'm not capable of managing all them streams of money. So now, because I don't got that pressure. So, and that's going to be my last point, is that I don't care all this all this talk women talk about, we do not have the pressure to manage streams of income. And that's my last point.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And certainly a degree in a job doesn't give you streams of income. It is a stream of income. It doesn't give you streams of income. You're going to have to invest your time in a job. So there's only going to be so much you can do. There's only going to be so much of yourself you can invest in a job. So developing streams of income is going to have to be something that doesn't necessarily require you to do that. Let me get caller from area code 862. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? I'm sorry. Caller from area code 682. You're on live with The Business.
Raheem from Seattle, Washington.
All right, Raheem from Seattle. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I want to say you're very, very correct. I just recently relocated here, but I was sitting at a taco bar, and two of the people across from me was talking about how they was working for someone for 6 months, and one of the guys was like, "Yeah, I got 200 grand saved up." The other guy was like, "I got 150 saved up," and he was like, "Pardon my French." He was like, "Yeah, fuck Les, fuck Jeffrey. Let's go out and do our own thing." And I'm thinking to my mind, like, why don't black folk do that? You know what I'm saying? But that's
well, sometimes that does happen. That actually does happen. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. It sounds like he's coming down off a cold or a bad batch. But in any case, yeah, that does happen. And that's the whole point that I want to make to the fellas here right now tonight. A lot of you are being raised around, or you're coming up in the world, coming into contact with the failed bastard babies of the single mama bastard baby mama generation. So a lot of you are sitting there and you see another black male and you're like, okay, you're responding like the females. You're responding like the females. As a man, you're supposed to be able to recognize when you found a competent male. Competence is not common. So you don't just sit here and say, well, he's a black male like me, so I'm assuming he's got competence. No, you shouldn't do that, and you can't do that. So you've been raised and you're going out into the world around a bunch of folks here, and you're seeing the results of their upbringing. They're not ready. They're not ready. Your job is to find and identify the ones who are. Your job is to find and identify the ones who are, and that's who you work with. But serious males, man, that's rare today. Let me tell you something right now. There's a reason why the Xbox games or the Xbox competitions are such a big ass thing. Man, you got a generation of fellas out here who is like, man, look here, just give me my Xbox game and cable TV and my Instagram so I can see a bunch of chicks that I'll never be able to be with. Let me go ahead and see that and I'm good. You see, being able to watch females on a video or in a picture, being able to watch it has taken the place of actually doing it. Being able to, that has become proximity today. That has become proximity. They can pick up a phone and a female that they could never hope to have in real life. There she is sitting right there. That's proximity. They used to never even be able to see it. Now they can go well beyond seeing it now. And for a lot of fellas today, they're willing to settle for that. They're willing to settle for spending the rest of their lives sitting on Facebook, sitting on Twitter, sitting on Instagram, flipping up through it and streaming up through it. They are literally willing to sacrifice that. They're willing to do it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They're willing to do it. They've already made the decision. I'm willing to go for it. That's it. Let me find a chick who accepts me as I am, where I am. Yeah, I would love to have me a baddie. Oh, what man wouldn't? I'd love to have me a baddie, but if I only qualify for down bad, well, let me just close my eyes and take one for the team. Because this is where I rank. Yeah, I wish I could do this here, but this is where I'm ranking. So, I don't, stop me if this sounds familiar. I don't like it, but let me go ahead and get in there then. And that's what it becomes. So recognize, as men today, for those of you who want more and want better, excellence is hard to come by. Mediocrity is common. And most of the guys you're going to meet today here, you're sitting up here like, man, I'm 30, 40 years old. What have these fellas been doing with the previous 20 years of their lives? Not a damn thing. That's why, fellas, you got to move with dudes who you have to be able to recognize those traits that I'm telling the females to recognize. You got to be able to see a fella, that the look in his eyes, the cut of his jib, the tone of his voice, his work ethic, the hours you see, that this is a fella who's about that business. That you're dealing with a fella who is about that business. Those are the ones you deal with. And if you cannot find one, then you do all the work you can within yourself, make yourself as valuable as you can, and eventually maybe you can make one. Let me get caller from area code 708. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Sean from Chicago.
Sean from Chicago, what's on your mind?
Okay. So first, I would like to thank you for all your motivation. You're like a self-help audio to me right now. So, yeah, I'm making a progression through a purchase right now, so I appreciate you for all your knowledge. And then I also wanted to talk about how I seen that for the Shanquilla, for the men, for the Shanquilla case, you seen that boy that was standing there recording that girl, somebody, you gonna do something, and somebody would have circled him and made an example out of him, like he should have de-escalated the situation, talk the girls down as men do. He should have did that. And then if you look at Blueface and circle him when he went to court and his mama just got on the internet talking about he's not the kind of boy, which I could tell. If they would have circled his face and then, did the body language of an individual, that probably helped. Let me tell you something real quick. When I was younger and I was like, I don't know, 17, 18. Anyway, I was in a trap house or whatever. So dude was like, when the man come and make this little thing or whatever, I need you to hold this, and if something go wrong, then I need you to do that. So I didn't never go past, if I did that, what would happen. So you go from cartoons when you little to Bugs Bunny shooting at the little people and the little thing hopping around, or if he gets shot, he always get back up, It was some psychological about that if I did do that, I didn't know somebody would not, be able to move on in life. I think that was for the men, when I seen a man, when the men take the little kids to go deer hunting and stuff, and when the kids shoot the deer and the deer actually bleeds and die, that probably would have had an impact. That what happened if I did do that? That's what happened, blood and all that. I ain't even put
well, definitely in the case of Blueface, his mother's been out of line for a while, so that's not new there. His mother is obviously the source of the issue. That young man, that when dysfunctional hoes are allowed to raise boys, it never ends well. It never ends well. And you go on a trip to Mexico and you with dysfunctional hoes and boys raised by dysfunctional hoes, it doesn't end well for you. It just can't. You are in danger. You're surrounded by an unstable situation. and calamity and catastrophe are going to ensue. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We definitely appreciate that here. While I'm at it, definitely I want to make sure that I take care of all the necessary business that I have to here right now. So definitely while I'm at it here, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make an announcement here tonight. So for those of you who are showing up here tonight, congratulations. You get to be here for it. I have been hard at work doing what I do, making things happen here and stuff, and I want to deal with things from a certain way because, I don't just slap things together. So one of the things in particular here, I wanted to make the announcement here tonight for everyone who is listening here live. You will be the first ones to hear this. And I know, technically speaking, I probably should do this on my Patreon, but I'm going to go ahead and do this here tonight. I'll just give my patrons more of the details about it. For the better part of the year, you have been hearing about a project that I've been working on. Been very important. And I want to officially announce tonight that it's time. For those of you who hadn't seen it or were not aware, it's time. We are getting ready to do The Last Train Leaving. If you remember, for the better part of a year now, I have been discussing with you all a program that neither the Kevin Samuels nor the Manosphere nor any of these other people have ever dared to try to do here. A program that specifically talks to females that we've been watching over the course of the last 20 years to see, by the way, does strong and independent work? Does doing it my way work? Are you happy? Are you okay with this? Are you all right pulling this by yourself? Are you okay at the age of 40, 50, 60, waking up by yourself? Is it all right? Are you perfectly fine? Or do you sound like you're whacked out, crazy, and psycho? And thus you missed the last train leaving. How many of you have had the guts and the courage to be able to look at your parents and the mistakes that they've made? How many of you have the guts and the courage to look at your mother and your grandmother and the mistakes that they've made and to see exactly what it is that they did wrong? How many of you had the ability to do that? How many of you have? That can be a hard thing to swallow, especially when you realize that you have run out of the most important commodity of all time. You see that when you were young and nubile and everything was sitting up where it was supposed to be at and everything, you felt you had all the time in the world and everybody told you you didn't have a damn thing to worry about. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. Don't you worry. You can take forever. And some of you were engaging in very, very disreputable sexual behavior, and you were told then there would be no penalty for it. There would be no penalty. Do whatever you want to do. There will not be a penalty for your behavior. Nothing at all. Do it however you want to do it. You'll be fine. How'd that work out? Did that go well? Did that go okay? Did you end up where you thought you would end up? Was it all a great ride? Do you still have all the options? All those things those people told you there before. By the way, is that where you're at? Is that where it happened? Are we good? Everything is good and everything is okay now? Or did you get took? Everything is good and everything is okay? Or did you get took? That's the question you need to be asking here now, and that's the question we're going to be delving into when we do The Last Train Leaving. We are going to be talking to women from various walks of life. In the setting here, it'll be live, they'll be on camera, and it's time for us to deal with this question once and for all about whether or not you can make all the mistakes a person can make and whether or not it's all going to be good and all going to be great and everybody lied. We're going to find out who was lying to you. Jason or everybody else who was lying to you. Because there are a number of females who are finding this out the hard way right now. There are a number who are finding this out the hard way right now, which is why I've been documenting this for the better part of a year. You see, there were a number of them who were told, don't worry, listen to some randoms on the internet, running their mouths, bumping their gums, Listen to them. Listen to them tell you what your value is. Listen to them create every stupid, backwards, brain-damaged slogan you can imagine. Know your worth. Know your value. And then you listen to them. You listen to them. And they promised you what was going to happen. And Jason's sitting here saying, baby, you ain't going to get another man like that. That was the last one. Lala Anthony doesn't have the Photoshop people to help anymore. They ain't liking what the hell I'm saying. What I'm saying is what you're seeing on the screen, this is what Carmelo has had to wake up next to. Not something with the lighting and makeup people from Showtime. This is the real damn thing. If you gonna buy a Birkin bag, this is the real Lala you would be buying the Birkin bag for. She isn't 24, she 40 plus. And while this is hitting for a dude on Instagram, Carmelo, is this hitting for a Carmelo? Before you want to try to judge. Before you sit up here and tell her that she's got this infinite number of retries in the sexual marketplace. There were a whole bunch of folk who promised this woman she would have infinite retries. Now she's sitting here saying, what the hell? All these folk who told me this for the last year, if you leave your husband, all you gotta do is go in your DMs. She went in her DMs and all she saw was the same bum-ass females and thirsty-ass deadbeat failure males. That's all she got in her DMs. Ain't nobody trying to figure out how to park Lala Anthony's 41-year-old butt cheeks in a Bentley. Nobody's trying to do that. She's got free-rating sexual access to a bunch of males not willing to invest anything. And she listened to these people. Well, guess what? That's why I wanted to show you all this picture here. Just last week, she had no problem being booed up, sitting at this their son had a game, and guess who was sitting there? Lala and Carmelo. Now, she was running this man's name and dragging this man's name through the dirt on Spotify. She was dragging his name through the dirt. Is what she was doing. And take a look at what happened when she got away from Call Me Daddy. This is the real thing. She misses this. Those cameras, because there's a bunch of cameras behind them. There's a bunch of cameramen behind them. Those cameramen ain't back there for her. That's just one. The picture is cropped, but that's just one. But there were a bunch of cameras behind them. They weren't there for her. They were there for Mello. They were there for Mello. She listened to a bunch of people, and instead of those people encouraging her, baby, get back in there and fix your marriage. You will never get another one of these. She listened to a bunch of women who don't have a Carmelo, and if they did, they would happily let that nigga assemble a harem, but telling her what they wouldn't put up with. Lori Harvey listened to her run through ragged out ass mama. Lost Michael B. Jordan, there ain't a damn thing waiting to get with her now. Brittany Renner couldn't keep herself emotionally or mentally balanced long enough, done messed around and got knocked up with a baby. The end. Game over. The end. The end. In the chat room there, Jace, you need to give us a call up here. Somebody tell Jace they need to give us a call up since they got questions. We'll give them a couple of minutes to be on the line. But just so you all are aware, we are ready to do the last train leaving. We are going to be talking to females who have lived that life. They had the man. They didn't listen. They turned around. They went back out into the sexual marketplace. And it was they became a statistic. It's a damn wasteland. Somebody told them that they were going to be able to re-enter the sexual marketplace and make it pop, that they would be filled with options. That's what they told them. Well, it's decades later, and they're now finding out it was a damn lie. All of it, every word of it, every syllable of it. And the people who told them this, now you're sitting in the same situation with them. Now, isn't that amazing? The people who told you that they were going to coach you about how to navigate this, the only thing they coached you into navigating was to end up where they are. Standing at the ramp at the train station, standing at the loading dock, waiting to see, do we hear the sound in the distance? The sound of the wheels on the tracks in the distance. Do we hear the sound of the whistle? Do we perhaps hear the sound of maybe one more train coming? Maybe just one more. That you grossly overestimated your value through your narcissism and arrogance, and that you're hoping that there's yet one more train coming through the station, and she's like, man, if another one come through here, I'm holding on with both hands. I'm holding on tight with both hands. All kinds of things then. All kinds of things. You see, when fantasy meets reality, fantasy dies a very quick, loud, ugly death. And this is the first place that's actually talked about that. I'm not beating up on Lala. I'm trying to tell you all that Lala is a cautionary tale. In the internet age of faking and fantasy, she's a cautionary tale. If Carmelo was so damn bad, why is it that she's not sitting on the other side of the court from him? If Carmelo is this damn bad, why is she sitting directly next to him? You are not his wife anymore. And you ain't had nothing but trash to talk about him. Yeah, because you thought you found something better. And take a look at Carmelo, y'all. Carmelo looking stress-free, ain't he? There were a bunch of other pictures from that day on Instagram. Baby, Carmelo was laid back, stress-free. Carmelo was laid back, stress-free. You know why? Because she been calling and probably giving him signals. And Carmelo was like, yeah, heifer, you thought you was going to do better than me. You thought you were going to trade me in. You just knew that one of my teammates really did mean that he was going to take you off the market. You really did believe that. Now you marched your happy ass back out here and found out I'm the best you can do. Oh yeah, one more thing. Folks in the comments section who saw the picture pointed something out. Oh, take a look at that. I see footwear. Couldn't help but notice. Couldn't help but notice. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, you've been up under this man for over a decade. You still his woman. You still his woman. You are expecting to get Carmelo without the extracurricular activities. Baby, Carmelo know what's going on. He knows that he's the only one who gonna put in a bid. The auction house, there's nobody else at the auction house except him. That's it. Carmelo is the only one bidding. And now he has no incentive to do so. The boy is almost grown. He doesn't have to pay her no alimony. That's it. He can go take whatever he would want to put into her would be better invested in a 25-year-old. Carmelo can start all over again. It'd be better invested in a 25-year-old. Why does he have to go back and retread Lala with her disingenuous, disloyal ass? Why does he got to do that? Jason, he was cheating on her. She had no problem cheating to get him. What I'm saying is that when you want to play at this level, you got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it to win it. Besides that fact, she was a disciplinary problem. We all remember that. Carmelo didn't want her on TV naked. You are the mother of his child, and you sitting up here bareback on more than one occasion on TV and gonna tell him what you gonna do? Oh, hell no. He's gonna start auditioning new broads. You listen to a bunch of hoes tell you that you don't have to listen to your man. I ain't got to do what he says. There's always some loudmouth ass broad out there somewhere telling a female who's got a man what she doesn't have to do. And the overwhelming majority of the time, them hoes are lying their asses off. You've got a man doing things for you that these women dream and fantasize nightly. They would cut their man's throat to have a fella who could do for them what Carmelo can do. And isn't it ironic, those same females want you to run Carmelo off? Isn't that interesting? They wish they had a man like him, and I'll be damned, they're all sitting up here encouraging you to run yours off. You need to get rid of him. Well, heifer, it's not like you're in line to get him. But they damn sure wish they could. I'm not doing it to be mean. I'm doing this as a cautionary tale for the young females who ain't messed themselves up yet. Some of y'all thought I was joking when I showed some of those close-ups of Lala from Call Me Daddy. She ain't the young, hot little 24-year-old thing that she was when she first came on the scene. That's not what she is today. You put a decade into Carmelo. This is it. This is what it's gonna be. Get the hell back in there and make it work out. You know why? Because we can all see what you're doing. This is the crazy part. Any dumbass out there talking about, well, we gotta accept him cheating. Look where the hell she is. If you actually knew a damn thing with your dumbass trying to criticize that, look where she is. She tried to go back into the sexual marketplace. She's tried to get another Carmelo. She's tried to do all the crap you talking about. And look where she's ended up at. She's right back where she started. Actually, she's not back where she started because now she's on the outside looking in. You will never get Carmelo Anthony to walk back down that aisle a second time. You got him to walk down the aisle once. He is not going to walk down that aisle another time. Not at all. And all the hoes on Instagram and Facebook and every damn thing else trying to tell you what you need to do in your relationship. Now all of y'all are just sitting around single and alone and hoping to God that there's one more train coming around the corner. That's all you did. You're just hoping there's yet one more train that's going to pull into the station. I don't know if she's had plastic surgery or not, but I do know one thing. If she did, Lala had to pay for it herself. I know who had to pay for it. I know who didn't have to finance it. I know who didn't. By the way, Melo looking stress-free. Melo looking stress-free. Melo ain't looking upset. He ain't looking mad. Melo looking stress-free. Lala looking awkward as hell sitting there, ain't she? You're indoors. Y'all all got long sleeves on. But Melo was looking stress-free. Lala's not looking quite so comfortable. She's looking like, oh, hell. Yeah, we got cameras out here. Yeah, baby, you ain't sitting as pretty as you used to be. There's a lesson to be learned either by listening to your mama, your grandmama, all the failed ovaries around you. Yeah, you really can run out of opportunities. And by the way, after we do the last train leaving, we are then going to go to the next step. Jason, there's a next step if you missed the last train? Absolutely. The discount bin. So, ladies, if you have missed your ride on the last train, well, we can next move to the dollar store to go check out the discount bin. And we can rummage through there and see what's available. We can go ahead and go rummaging through there and see what we can drag out. Oh, yes, folks. After we do the last train, what comes after the last train is the discount bin. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because somebody needs to be honest about exactly where you're going to find yourself under these circumstances. If you have fumbled the damn ball and you missed the last train leaving, next stop, the discount bin. And you have to see what you can dig up out of there. You're going to have to just see what you can dig up out of there. And notice, I said Family Dollar and Dollar General. No, you don't get to even go to Walmart. No, we don't get to go to a really fly place. No, this is where you're going to be. This is where you're going to be. Virgo, you right. Like I say, they get their little courage up. When you start talking about the females, a bunch of dudes who do not have their act together, all of a sudden they want to jump up and start talking about, yeah, these chicks out here, they all out of options. Here's the problem, my dude. You ain't gonna like this. A group of females would rather double and triple up with a winner than to have some beta mediocre dude all to herself. Because that's the reality. The reality is, whether you like it or not, and we know you don't, when the females have a choice, if she actually has an option, it doesn't matter whether she's missed the last train and leaving or not. She's not coming to you. It's not like you're her first choice. It's not like you're her first choice. So while you all of a sudden, I've seen a bunch of them try to spring to life all of a sudden. Now that I'm talking about the females, all of a sudden they're springing to life. By the way, fellas, your situation hasn't changed if you're not producing. Your situation hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. It's not like the chicks are like, well, damn, I missed the last train. Let me get his bum ass over here. Nope. That's the discount bin. If she misses the last train, she's not immediately coming to you. She gonna go to Dollar General and see if she can start rummaging through that discount bin. Craigslist. See if she can find a knockoff. See if she can find something through there. It is what it is. Keep your eyes and ears open for future announcements. The last train leaving, I've already talked to my people. I've got them lined up for it. So the last train leaving is coming. Be ready for that broadcast. It might just be your future, one way or another. We're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's program. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to tonight's program, especially in the super chat. I've seen y'all in there tonight. Didn't get to yell out everybody, but thank you very much. I saw everybody. I appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who has contributed on PayPal or Cash App. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. We are the definitive school of power dynamics. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell, join us each and every time. And if you haven't joined us on Patreon, I'm going to be giving the date tomorrow night on Patreon. Tomorrow afternoon on Patreon. For those of you who are my patrons, I do my live broadcast at noon on Saturdays Central Time. I will be giving the date that we are going to do the last train leaving. And I'm going to give a little bit of information about the women who'll be joining us. But I'm going to give you the date tomorrow exclusively to my patrons. You've been waiting for this for the better part of a year. I've been slow cooking it, but it's ready. So for my patrons, get ready for that. The announcement of the official date is coming tomorrow to my patrons. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.